The Whispering Shadows. Sarah had always loved exploring old, abandoned buildings. There was something thrilling about the dust-covered relics of the past, the echoing silence, and the sense of forgotten history. So, when she heard about the old manor on the edge of town, she couldn't resist. The locals called it the Ravenwood Manor. It had been abandoned for decades after a series of mysterious disappearances. No one dared to go near it, but Sarah was undeterred. She packed her camera, flashlight, and a notebook, determined to document her findings. The manor loomed before her as she approached, its dark windows like empty eyes watching her every move. The iron gate creaked as she pushed it open, and a chill ran down her spine. The air was thick with the smell of decay and something else, something she couldn't quite place. Inside, the house was eerily silent. Her footsteps echoed on the wooden floors as she walked through the grand hall. Dust motes floated in the air, illuminated by the weak sunlight streaming through the dirty windows. Sarah took out her camera and began taking pictures of the decaying interior. As she moved deeper into the house, she started to feel uneasy. It was as if the shadows were shifting, moving just at the edge of her vision. She shook her head, telling herself it was just her imagination. But the feeling wouldn't go away. She reached a room at the back of the house, a small library with floor-to-ceiling bookshelves. As she stepped inside, the door slammed shut behind her. Sarah jumped, her heart racing. She tried the door, but it wouldn't budge. The room grew colder, and she could see her breath in the air. Suddenly, she heard it, a soft whisper, barely audible, like the rustling of leaves. Sarah froze, straining to hear. "Get out." The voice was faint, but unmistakable. Panic surged through her as the whispering grew louder, more insistent. She backed away from the door, her eyes darting around the room. The shadows seemed to be closing in, the darkness pressing against her. "Get out. Before it's too late." The voice was clearer now, filled with urgency. Sarah's hands shook as she fumbled with the doorknob, desperate to escape. Finally, with a loud creak, the door swung open, and she bolted from the room. She ran through the hallways, her breath coming in ragged gasps. The whispers followed her, growing louder and more frantic. As she reached the front door, she glanced back one last time. In the dim light, she saw them, figures standing in the shadows, their eyes glowing with an unnatural light. They were the lost souls of Ravenwood Manor, trapped in the darkness for all eternity. With a scream, Sarah flung the door open and ran into the daylight. She didn't stop until she was far from the manor, her heart pounding in her chest. She never spoke of what she saw in the Ravenwood Manor, but she knew she would never forget the whispering shadows that haunted her that day. And she swore she would never set foot in that cursed place again. But deep down, she knew the shadows would never let her go. Hope you enjoyed it.